The pen was shaking in my hand. I couldn't stop it. Across the table, my father watched me with that expression I'd seen my whole life, the one that said he already won. Next to him sat my brother Kyle, shifting in a suit he'd probably borrowed. 2 lawyers in dark wool flanked them like guards at an execution. Between us, 3 pages, a transfer agreement. My company's name printed at the top in letters that seemed to get bigger the longer I stared. Lillian, Dad's voice cut through the silence of the private dining room. Sign it. 8 years. That's what those 3 pages wanted to erase. 8 years of 16-hour days and failed prototypes, of sleeping on my office floor because I couldn't afford both rent and materials, of building something real from absolutely nothing. And they wanted to hand it to Kyle, my 28-year-old brother who'd never kept a job past 6 months. I put the pen down. No. My name is Lillian Simmons. I'm 34, and I built a medical device company that was mine. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Ever been stuck choosing between family and everything you worked for? Subscribe, because what comes next is going to show you exactly what fighting back looks like. What my father did in that moment got caught on 3 different phones. What I did after, they never saw it coming. Growing up in Greenwich, Connecticut taught me that success had a specific look. The right schools, the right memberships, the right way to arrange your life so everyone could see you'd made it. My parents perfected that image. Dad ran a venture capital firm, the kind where deals happened over cigars and handshakes. Mom had been a corporate lawyer before she retired to focus on family, which meant hosting charity luncheons and managing appearances. Kyle was their masterpiece. Star quarterback in high school, Yale acceptance on legacy admission, Dad and Grandpa both went there. He lasted exactly 3 semesters before dropping out. Traditional education stifles entrepreneurial spirit, Dad announced at the family dinner where Kyle broke the news. Like it was a victory, like my brother quitting was somehow visionary. I called it what it was: lazy. I went to MIT, studied biomedical engineering, spent 5 years in medical device labs watching patients struggle with equipment that hadn't been updated since the 90s. Glucose monitors that required too much blood, heart rate sensors that gave false readings, devices built for profit margins, not people. So at 26, I started MedTech Solutions in my 1-bedroom apartment. No family money, no connections, just $87,000 in student loan debt and a prototype that actually worked. That was 8 years ago. What my family never acknowledged, what they still don't acknowledge, is what I gave them to get here. 6 years ago, Dad's firm hit trouble during a market correction. He called me on a Tuesday afternoon. Lillian, I need a bridge loan, just $50,000 to cover some short-term obligations. 6 months tops. I liquidated my emergency fund, every dollar I'd saved, wired it that same day. Never saw it again. A year later, when I finally worked up the courage to ask about repayment, Dad looked at me like I'd suggested something obscene. Family doesn't keep receipts, Lillian. 5 years ago, Mom got diagnosed. Breast cancer, stage 2. She needed experimental treatment, the kind insurance companies call not medically necessary because it costs too much. Kyle was between opportunities. That's what we called it when he was unemployed, which was always. The treatment cost $80,000 over 18 months. I paid every invoice, worked double shifts, consulting on the side while building my company, lived on ramen and coffee, slept 4 hours a night. Mom recovered fully, threw a party to celebrate, told everyone her wonderful insurance coverage had saved her life. I stood in the corner with cheap wine, listening to her thank God and her doctors and her incredible policy. Not once did my name come up. 4 years ago, Kyle announced his 7th business idea: artisanal beard oil subscription boxes. He'd done the market research, he said, found a gap in the luxury grooming space. He needed $25,000 for inventory and initial marketing. Dad called me. Your brother's finally found his passion. You should support his dreams. I wrote the check. The business lasted 4 months. Kyle kept the leftover money, about $18,000, and bought a motorcycle, a Ducati, Wrote it twice before it sat in Mom and Dad's garage collecting dust. 3 years ago, my parents decided to remodel. Just updating to maintain property value, Mom explained. The contractor's quote was $120,000. They asked if I could help out with $40,000. I paid for their master bathroom, heated floors, rainfall shower, marble countertops, and half the kitchen renovation. 6 months later, I visited for Christmas. Mom was giving tours to relatives. We worked so hard to afford this renovation, but it's so worth it to have a space we love. I was standing right there. 2 years ago, MedTech Solutions landed our first major contract, $2 million deal with a hospital network in Boston. After years of scraping by, reinvesting every dollar, living in a studio apartment with a 10-year-old car, we were finally profitable. I called my dad from the office, still shaking with relief and excitement. "That's nice, honey," he said. Pause. "Hey, Kyle's thinking about getting into consulting. Medical devices, actually. Can you introduce him to your hospital contacts?" I did the math later. Over 6 years, I'd given my family $215,000. More than $200,000 from a salary I'd built from nothing, in an apartment where I kept the heat at 62 to save money, skipping vacations to pour everything back into research. The signs were always there. I just kept ignoring them. Family dinners where they'd spend an hour discussing Kyle's potential, what he might do, could do, would definitely do once he found the right opportunity. Then they'd turn to me as an afterthought. "How's work, Lillian?" When I won Boston's Emerging Entrepreneur Award, Mom didn't come to the ceremony. She was at a wedding for one of Kyle's high school friends. You understand, Kyle's the best man. It would look bad if I weren't there. Holiday gifts told the story clearer than words. Kyle got Tag Heuer watches and the latest tech. I got Target gift cards with notes, "For practical things you need." Their house had 13 framed family photos. 11 featured Kyle, graduation, sports awards, vacation shots. 2 had me, both from when I was maybe 7 years old. I found the group chat by accident last year. Dad's phone was on the kitchen counter, screen unlocked. A notification popped up, "Family Decisions." I clicked it before thinking. 2 years of messages. Discussions about Kyle's next move, Mom's garden renovation, where to spend Thanksgiving. Daily conversations. I scrolled back months. My name appeared exactly twice. Once when they discussed whether to invite me to Aunt Carol's birthday party. Once when Dad wrote, "Lillian's busy with work anyway." I wasn't in the chat. I'd never been added. 3 months before that dinner at the restaurant, things shifted. Kyle started appearing at my office. No warning, just walking in. "Thought you'd see what you've built," he'd say, wandering through the lab space, touching equipment, asking questions. The questions seemed innocent at first. "How many employees do you have now? What's the revenue looking like? Must be exciting to see it grow." Then they got sharper. "How's the board structured? What's your ownership percentage? Would you ever consider bringing on a co-CEO?" I thought, God, I actually thought he was finally taking an interest, maybe maturing, maybe proud of what my little sister had accomplished. 6 weeks before the dinner at the restaurant, Dad invited me to lunch at his club, the kind of place with leather chairs and oil portraits and waiters who'd worked there for decades. We ordered. He got his usual rare steak. Then he leaned forward. "Lillian, I want to discuss something sensitive. Kyle's struggling. He's 28 now, no career stability. My mother and I are concerned about his future." I waited. "He wants to join MedTech Solutions. He thinks he could help a lot." My stomach dropped. "In what capacity?" "As co-founder. Equal equity. It's only fair. He's family." I sat there, steak knife heavy in my hand, and realized something that made my chest tight. I'd thought building something undeniable would finally earn their respect, that success they couldn't ignore or dismiss would make them see me. But I'd gotten it backwards. The more successful I became, the more dangerous I was, because my success made Kyle's failure impossible to ignore, and they'd spent 28 years building a story about his potential, My luck, his delayed greatness, my fortunate timing. My company wasn't an achievement to them. It was a threat to their narrative. And they were going to take it. 2 weeks after that lunch, a calendar invite appeared in my inbox. Family business discussion, my parents' address, Tuesday, 6 p.m., no agenda attached. I should have deleted it. I showed up anyway. The formal dining room, not the kitchen. That told me everything. We never used that room except for holidays and people we were trying to impress. Kyle was already seated, wearing a suit that looked rented. He kept pulling at the collar. But his eyes, there was something there. Excitement, maybe. Like he knew what was coming. Mom brought out coffee on the silver service we got as a wedding gift for someone 20 years ago. Dad sat at the head with a leather portfolio, the expensive kind lawyers carry. "Lillian," he smiled, "thank you for coming. Your mother and I have been reviewing MedTech's trajectory. Very impressive growth." I sat. "Thanks. We'd like to invest." Mom's voice was bright, practiced. "A significant family investment to accelerate your scaling. I'm not looking for investors right now. We're capitalized through next year. Just hear us out." Dad opened the portfolio. Inside were spreadsheets, market analysis, projected growth curves, professional-grade work. Someone had spent serious time on this. $500,000, Dad said, in exchange for 20% equity and 2 board seats, mine and Kyle's. The room felt smaller suddenly. Kyle doesn't have board experience. He's never worked in medical devices. "Exactly why this is perfect," Mom cut in. Her voice had an edge now. "You've had your time building. Now it's Kyle's turn to learn." Learn? He'd be voting on R&D budgets, regulatory strategy, hospital contracts. "With your guidance," Dad said. Smooth, reasonable. "Think of it as mentorship. And the capital lets you expand into 3 new markets we've already identified." I scanned the documents. The projections were solid. They'd done real research. Then I saw it. Page 7, buried in dense legal text. "In the event of dispute or deadlock, majority voting rights default to Simmons Family Trust, controlled by Dean and Samantha Simmons." This wasn't an investment. This was a takeover with a bow on it. "I need time to review this," I said, closing the portfolio. Dad's face changed. "This offer has a deadline, Lillian. We're committing substantial family resources. If you're not interested in helping your brother succeed..." He didn't finish. Didn't need to. I took the portfolio to Jennifer Park's office the next morning. She read in silence for 12 minutes, then looked up. "Don't sign this." "It's that bad? If you sign this, they own your company in 18 months. This clause gives them right of first refusal on any equity you issue. This one lets them remove you as CEO with a simple majority vote. Lillian, this was written by someone who knows exactly how to legally strip a founder of their own company. My parents wouldn't. This isn't family helping family. This is a hostile takeover using family language to make it sound reasonable." I sent an email that night. Professional, brief. "After careful consideration, I've decided to maintain MedTech's current ownership structure. I appreciate the offer, but will keep the company independent." That's when everything accelerated. Week 1. Kyle started appearing at the office every day. No permission asked. "Thought I'd shadow you," he'd say, dropping into chairs and meetings I hadn't invited him to. R&D sessions, investor calls, strategic planning. He sat there taking notes, asking questions that sounded casual but weren't. "How much autonomy does your board have? What happens if you get hit by a bus tomorrow? Who actually owns the patents, you personally or the company?" I told him to stop coming. He showed up the next day anyway. Week 2. Maxwell Pierce called me at 7 a.m. "Lillian, what's going on with your family?
What do you mean? Your father called me yesterday, said there are concerns about your leadership, that the family is discussing bringing in more experienced management, that you might be, his words, unstable? My stomach dropped. Maxwell, I'm not. I know, but he's calling your investors, Lillian. He's spreading a narrative. You need to shut this down. I confronted Dad that afternoon. He denied everything. Maxwell misunderstood. We were just having a casual conversation about the medical device space. You're being paranoid. Week 3. 3 employees came to me within 2 days, all uncomfortable, all with the same story. Your mom called my personal cell, asked how I've been doing, if I seem overwhelmed, if I've noticed any erratic behavior. She'd called them at home, numbers she must have gotten from the company directory. They were building something, a story. Unstable daughter, concerned family, intervention needed for her own good. Week 4. Kyle posted on LinkedIn, excited to announce I'll be joining MedTech Solutions in an advisory capacity, looking forward to learning from my brilliant sister and contributing to healthcare innovation. #family business, #healthtech. I hadn't offered him anything. I called him immediately. Take that down. Dad said it was fine. It's just advisory. Why are you being so hostile? I never agreed to this. Why don't you want family involved, Lillian? What are you trying to hide? I hung up, hands shaking. They were closing in from every angle. Investors, employees, LinkedIn, public narrative. And I didn't know how to stop it without looking exactly like they wanted me to look. Paranoid, defensive, unstable.
Thanksgiving came. I almost didn't go, but some part of me still hoped, stupidly, desperately hoped, that in front of extended family, they'd drop it. The house smelled like sage and butter. 15 people around the table with extra leaves added. Candles, china, the performance of a perfect family. After dessert, Dad stood. The fork against crystal rang sharp and clear. Everyone went quiet. I want to make an announcement about Lillian's company. My chest seized. As you all know, Lillian's built something impressive with MedTech, but there's a difference between building a startup and scaling an enterprise. After extensive family discussions, we've decided Kyle will be taking a leadership role. He'll join as president and COO. Lillian will transition to chief technical officer, focusing on what she does best, the engineering. 15 faces turned to me. Confusion. Pity. Aunt Martha's expression said she'd expected this. That's not, I started. We're so proud of what you've accomplished, Mom's voice was warm, public. But you've been exhausted, working impossible hours. This lets you focus on the technical work you love while Kyle handles operations. Kyle raised his glass. To family. To new chapters. Glasses clinked. Awkward. Automatic. I haven't agreed to any of this. My voice came out steady, loud. Kyle is not joining my company. This is the first I'm hearing about it. Dad's smile went tight. Lillian, let's discuss this privately. No, I stood. You just made a major announcement about my company without consulting me, in front of everyone. So let's stay public. I saw Cousin Jennifer's phone come up. Camera app open. Recording. You're being irrational, Mom hissed. We're trying to help you. Help? You've spent a month undermining me, calling my investors, my employees, posting fake announcements. This isn't help. This is sabotage. Kyle stood. Maybe if you weren't so controlling. You want 20% equity for no work? That's not family support. That's theft. The word landed hard. Dad's face went red. How dare you accuse? Show them the investment documents. Let everyone see the terms where you get to fire me. He didn't. People started making excuses. Early mornings tomorrow. Long drive home. They left with wrapped plates and tight smiles. I sat in my car for 20 minutes after, understanding what had just happened. They'd staged it. Public announcement, family pressure,
trapping me in a room where refusing looked like betrayal. 3 days later, Kyle knocked on my apartment door. 10 p.m. Face red and blotchy, eyes swollen. "Lillian, can I come in?" I should have said no. He collapsed on my couch and started crying. Not performative crying, the ugly, choking kind. "I'm so sorry," his voice broke. "Dad's been in my head for months. He said if I didn't do this, he'd cut me off completely. He keeps telling me I'm a failure, that you got lucky, that I deserve a chance to prove myself." He looked up, desperate, raw. "I've been an asshole my whole life, entitled, lazy. I know that, but I'm drowning, Ratch. 28 years old with nothing. Dad looks at me like I'm broken. Mom treats me like a disappointment she has to hide. And you? You're everything they hold up as what I should be, but never will be." Something in my chest cracked. This was my brother, the one I remembered before everything got twisted. "I don't want your company," he said. "I never did. I just want Dad to stop looking at me like I'm worthless, like I'm not enough." We talked for 3 hours. He apologized for everything. The office visits, the LinkedIn post, the shadowing. Said he was desperate for approval and grabbed at anything that might get it. He promised to back off, to tell our parents he wasn't interested, to stop being their weapon. When he left, we hugged. Real, tight. "I'll handle Dad," he said. "I'll make this right." I believed him. 4 days later, an email hit my inbox at 8 a.m. Legal notice. Shareholder derivative lawsuit. Kyle Simmons v. MedTech Solutions and Lillian Simmons. The complaint claimed I'd misappropriated funds, breached fiduciary duty, and engaged in self-dealing by refusing qualified family members participation in governance. It demanded immediate forensic accounting of all finances and installation of an independent board. 3 nominees suggested: Dean Simmons, Kyle Simmons, a lawyer from Dad's firm. I called Kyle. Voicemail. Called again. Straight to voicemail. Text. "What the fuck is this?" 2 hours later. Dad said if I didn't file, he'd disinherit me. I'm sorry. I have to look out for myself. The crying, the apologies, the promises, all theater. He'd been recording our conversation, looking for anything he could use, any admission he could twist. I called Jennifer with hands shaking so hard I could barely dial. "It's a nuisance suit," she said after reading the complaint. "No merit, but defending it costs $50,000 minimum, takes 6 months, and the publicity will spook your hospital contracts." What do they want? You're desperate enough to accept their original offer, or they damage the company's reputation until you're forced to sell cheap. Either way, they win. My phone buzzed during the call. Unknown number. Text message. "Lillian, this is Diane Carter. I worked with your father 15 years ago at the VC firm. We need to talk. I know what he's doing. I have information that can help. Call me." I stared at it. "Who's Diane Carter?" Jennifer asked. "No idea, but she knows my father." Could be a trap. Or the ally I need. I saved the number. Didn't call yet. But something shifted. I wasn't fighting this alone anymore.
2 weeks after the lawsuit arrived, another text from Mom. "Please come to dinner. We want to make peace. No lawyers. Just family. We miss you." Location. Riva, the kind of restaurant where reservations take 6 months and the waiters have been there longer than I've been alive. I stared at the message for an hour. Every instinct said, don't go. But some part of me, the part that still wanted a family, made me respond, yes. I walked into Riva at 7 exactly. The hostess knew my name without asking, led me past the main dining room, through a hallway, to a private room with a single large table. My parents at one end, Kyle to the side, looking at his hands, and 2 men in dark suits sitting across from them. Legal documents spread across the white tablecloth like a hand of cards. "What is this?" "Please sit." Dad's voice was level, controlled. "Let's be civilized about this." My pulse was hammering, but I sat.
One of the lawyers slid papers toward me. Transfer of ownership agreement, printed at the top in bold. Final offer, Dad said. Sign over 60% of MedTech Solutions to the Simmons Family Trust. Kyle becomes CEO. You keep 40% and the CTO title. In exchange, we drop the lawsuit and provide the investment capital we discussed. You think I'd... The alternative, Mom interrupted, voice sharp as glass, is we proceed with the lawsuit, file additional SEC complaints about governance irregularities, and contact every hospital you work with about your unstable behavior. The second lawyer leaned in. We have affidavits from 3 witnesses documenting erratic business decisions, documentation of your refusal to accept oversight, evidence of self-dealing on equipment purchases. All fabricated, but enough to create smoke, enough to make my hospital contracts nervous. 30 minutes, Dad said, checking his watch. Offer expires at 7:30. I looked at Kyle. He wouldn't raise his eyes. Why? I asked. Not angry, just genuinely trying to understand. Why are you doing this? Because you've become selfish. Mom's voice was cold as glass. You refuse to help your brother. You refuse to include family. You took everything, the success, the recognition, the pride, and left Kyle with nothing. I built this with my own money, my own work, with our money, Dad snapped. You think you got those first hospital meetings by accident? You think they took calls from some 26-year-old nobody? I made those introductions. I opened those doors. You owe this family everything you have. The words hit like a physical blow. They'd rewritten it. All of it. In their version, my success was their gift. My company was built on their generosity, and refusing to hand it over made me ungrateful. I picked up the pen. Dad's face lit up. Mom leaned forward slightly. Even Kyle looked up, something like relief crossing his expression. I set the pen down. No. Dad's jaw locked. Lillian! No. You want my company? Sue me. File your SEC complaints. Call every hospital I work with. Do whatever you're going to do. But I'm not signing this. I stood. Dad stood too. Fast. His hand came up and across. The slap cracked through the room. My head whipped to the side. Cheek burning, metallic taste flooding my mouth where I'd bitten my tongue. When I turned back, Mom had both hands over her mouth. Kyle had gone white. The lawyers sat frozen, pen still in hand. And I saw it. 3 phones on the table, all recording. The lawyers documenting the negotiation. They'd just documented my father hitting me. Get out, Dad said. His voice shook with rage. I touched my cheek, felt the heat radiating, tasted blood. You just made the biggest mistake of your life, I said quietly, and walked out. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 20 minutes, hands shaking, crying, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and primal. Then something shifted. The crying stopped. The shaking stopped. What replaced it was cold, clear, sharp as surgical steel. I called Jennifer. I was hit, I said, voice steady now, during an extortion attempt, in front of their lawyers, while trying to force me to sign ownership transfer documents. Silence for 3 seconds. That's assault during commission of a felony, Jennifer said, her tone shifting into something focused and lethal. We file a police report tonight. Criminal charges for assault and attempted extortion, then civil suit for harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and tortious interference. Lillian, they just handed you everything. But I was already thinking past the legal response. I need to know how deep this goes, what they planned, what they're capable of. I hung up with Jennifer and dialed the unknown number. Kate Carter answered on the first ring. I was waiting for your call. We met at a coffee shop in Cambridge the next morning. Corner booth. She arrived with a weathered accordion file that looked like it had been carried around for years. She pulled out the first document. I worked with your father from 1996 to 1999 at his VC firm, Venture Capital Partners. She slid a photo across. Young version of my dad, arm around a woman with dark hair and sharp eyes. My sister Claire founded a financial modeling software company in 1998. Revolutionary algorithm. Your father convinced her to bring him on as a business advisor. My chest tightened. I knew where this was going. 18 months. That's how long it took. Friendly mentorship turned into business counsel. He suggested she bring on a partner, his nephew, then manufactured a crisis, made her think the company was failing, convinced the board she couldn't handle the pressure. She sold her own company for $200,000. How much was it worth? $4 million. Sold to Oracle 6 months later for that amount. Kate pulled out more documents. Emails, legal filings, timeline reconstructions. Claire never recovered. Stopped working in tech, started drinking, had a breakdown in 2010, dined in 2015. Pills and vodka. Coroner called it accidental. I called it what it was. I'm sorry. And I meant it. Don't be sorry, be angry. Kate pulled out more files. She laid out 4 cases spanning 20 years. Marcus Webb, 2003. Robotics startup. Same pattern. My father as advisor, manufactured crisis, forced buyout. Jennifer Ling, 2009. Biotech company. Family pressure, legal threats, takeover. And then a name that made my blood stop. James Simmons. 2012? Wait, James Simmons? Your uncle, Kate said. Your father's younger brother. I sat back. Uncle James, the quiet one at family gatherings, the one who never talked about work. James had a medical equipment distribution company, worth about $3 million. Dean wanted it. James refused to sell, so Dean did what Dean does. Created a crisis, turned the board, forced him out. What happened to him? He works as a sales rep now, at a company Dean owns. Makes $45,000 a year. The room felt too small suddenly. Your father has done this 4 times that I can document. Maybe more. He identifies successful people, usually younger, usually family or close relationships, gets them to trust him, then systematically takes over their companies using legal pressure and emotional manipulation. He's brilliant at making it look justified, making the victims look incompetent or unstable. Why are you telling me this? Because you're the first one with resources to fight back. Claire couldn't afford the legal battle. Marcus settled because he had a family to support. Jennifer was an immigrant, afraid of losing her visa. James, she paused. James was broken by it, gave up. She pushed the entire accordion file toward me. I'll testify. I'll provide everything I have. But you need to understand what you're fighting. Dean doesn't stop. He escalates. And he's very, very good at destroying people who stand up to him. I took the file, felt the weight of it. There's one more thing you should know, Kate said. Kyle's engaged. Or was going to be. The fiancé's family is wealthy, connected. They've been asking questions about Kyle's career prospects. Your father promised them Kyle would be CEO of a medical device company by the wedding. Everything clicked into place. The timing, the urgency, the escalating aggression. This wasn't about family values or teaching Kyle responsibility. My father had made a promise he couldn't keep, and my company was his only way out. I drove home with Kate's files on the passenger seat. My face still ached where Dad had hit me. I could see the mark in the rearview mirror, red, already starting to bruise. I thought about something he said years ago when I told him I was starting a company. You're too soft for business, Lillian. You'll never have the stomach for what it takes to win. He'd been wrong. I had the stomach for it. I just hadn't needed it until my own family made me their enemy.
Jennifer's office at 9 p.m. the next night. She had a whiteboard covering one wall, already half filled with timeline notes. We document everything from here forward, she said, uncapping a marker. Every text, every voicemail, every interaction. Create a pattern we can prove in court. I pulled out my phone, started forwarding her messages. Dad's text from the past month, Mom's calls to my employees, Kyle's fake LinkedIn announcement. I'm installing security cameras at the office tomorrow, I said. Kyle's been showing up after hours. If he comes back, we'll have footage, Jennifer nodded. I'm filing the police report tonight. Assault during attempted extortion. The restaurant might have security footage too. She paused. There's enough here for a restraining order, maybe against all three of them. I thought about that. My entire family legally barred from contact. Not yet, I said. I want to see what else they do first. Lillian, if we get the restraining order now, they'll know we're fighting back. They'll get careful. I want them overconfident. Jennifer studied me for a long moment. You're thinking like a strategist now. I'm thinking like someone who wants to win. I spent the next 3 days building what Jennifer called the paper trail. Late nights in the office, laptop screen glowing in the dark. I created encrypted backups of every company document. Patents, financials, hospital contracts, board meeting minutes. Copied them to 3 separate drives stored in 3 separate locations. Yellow legal pads filled with timelines. Every gift to my family, every loan never repaid, every dismissal, every slight, every red flag I'd ignored. 6 years of being used, documented in my own handwriting. The pattern was undeniable once I laid it out. They didn't love me. They tolerated me as long as I was useful, and the moment I stopped being useful, they decided to take what I'd built. Maxwell Pierce called on day 4. Your father contacted me again, he said. 3rd time this month. He's not subtle anymore. Directly asked if I'd support removing you as CEO. What did you say? I told him to go to hell. Maxwell paused. Lillian, I'll testify. Whatever you need, recordings, documentation, sworn statement, your father has been trying to sabotage you, and I've got proof. 1 ally down. More to go. Dr. Sarah Reed was next. She ran the first hospital that contracted with MedTech 3 years ago. I called her office, expecting resistance. I was wondering when you'd reach out, she said. My stomach dropped. He called you? Your brother showed up here last month, said he was the new COO, wanted to discuss operational improvements to our contract. She laughed, sharp and dismissively. Lillian, he didn't know what a Class 2 medical device was, couldn't explain basic FDA compliance. I had him escorted out after 20 minutes. I never authorized. I know, that's why I'm telling you. If you need me to document his incompetence, I will. Your family's trying to take something you built, and they're using tactics that would make a corporate raider blush. 2 allies. Then Kate sent another message. Found something else. Can we meet? Same coffee shop, same corner booth. This time she brought a laptop. I've been digging deeper into the 4 cases I showed you, she turned the screen toward me. There's a pattern in the legal approach. Same firm, same strategies, same timeline. She pulled up documents, email chains between my father and his lawyers from 1998 through 2012. This email's from the Claire situation, she said, pointing. Subject line, acquisition strategy. They're literally calling it an acquisition of his business partner's company. She scrolled down. Here's an audio file. Dinner party in 2000. Someone recorded it, probably accidentally, old tape recorder left on. Your father's bragging about how he restructured Claire's company from the inside. Quote, he thought I was helping her. By the time she figured it out, I owned the board. My hands clenched. Marcus Webb case, 2003. Same law firm, same sequence. Insert himself as advisor, manufacture crisis, force buyout. Jennifer Ling, 2009. Medical devices, actually, different sector than Claire and Marcus, but identical legal tactics. Then she opened the last file. James Simmons, your uncle, 2012. The document showed everything. My father systematically destroying his own brother. Board manipulation, financial pressure, coordinated legal assault. James still works for your father, Kat said quietly. Makes $45,000 a year selling equipment for a company worth $3 million. The company James built before Dean took it. I couldn't breathe right. There's one more thing. Kate's voice changed. Harder. Kyle's engaged. Or was supposed to be. Her name's Amanda. Family money, very connected in Boston society. They've been dating 2 years. Her parents have been asking questions about Kyle's career. Your father told them Kyle was about to become CEO of a medical device company. She pulled up Facebook, Kyle's profile, privacy settings weak. Photos with a blonde woman, comments from 4 months ago. Can't wait for the wedding. The wedding was supposed to be this summer, 4 months from now. Your father promised Amanda's family that Kyle would have a real career by then. A company, a title, proof he wasn't just another trust fund failure. Everything clicked. The urgency, the escalation, the desperation in that restaurant. My father had made a promise, probably in a clubhouse bar over cigars and single malt.
promised that his son would be running a medical device company by the wedding. And now he had to deliver, or admit he'd lied. My company wasn't about teaching Kyle responsibility or family values. It was about saving my father's reputation. He's already told people, I said slowly. He's already been bragging that Kyle's a CEO. Kate nodded, which means he can't back down. He needs your company, or his entire social circle finds out he lied. Jennifer called an emergency meeting, her conference room at 9 p.m. Pizza boxes nobody was eating, coffee going cold. Here's our strategy, she said, pulling up a 3-tier document on the projector. Tier 1, defense. We prove the lawsuit is baseless. Show the harassment pattern. Document the bad faith. Get it dismissed. Tier 2, counterattack. We file our own suit. Extortion, assault, tortious interference, corporate espionage. Lillian, your security footage shows Kyle photographing documents after hours. She clicked to the next slide. Screenshots of Kyle entering my office at 11 p.m., using his phone to photograph my computer screen. Email forensics show he forwarded proprietary information to your father's personal email. We've got him on industrial espionage. Tier 3, nuclear option. Jennifer's voice dropped. Kate's evidence. Historical pattern. 4 victims over 20 years. We expose him, not just in court, in the media. Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Boston Globe. Make him radioactive in the business community. Maxwell Pierce leaned forward. I've got 2 other investors willing to testify about Dean's interference. Phone records, recordings. This isn't just family drama. This is a pattern of predatory behavior. Dr. Reed nodded. I'll document Kyle's complete lack of qualifications, his attempt to present himself as COO, the hospital network's concerns about his involvement. We let them think they're winning, I said. Let the lawsuit proceed to mediation. Get them all in the room, on the record, with a neutral mediator documenting everything. They'll demand settlement, make threats, probably try intimidation again. And we let them. I felt cold saying it. We let them commit to their position. Let them lie. Let them threaten. Get it all documented. Then we drop the evidence. All of it. Tier 1, 2, and 3. Bury them. Jennifer pulled out her phone, checking messages. Then her face changed. We have a problem. Two days before the mediation, a courier arrived at my apartment at 6 a.m., pounding on the door hard enough to wake the neighbors. Emergency restraining order application, filed by Kyle Simmons against Lillian Simmons. Claims: physical threats, stalking, harassment, showing up at his apartment making threats, following him to his gym, sending threatening emails and texts. The evidence attached made my blood run cold. Text messages I never sent. You're going to regret this. Watch your back. I know where you live. Ring doorbell footage of a woman outside Kyle's building at night. Wrong hair color, wrong height, but filmed at an angle that made the face unclear. Forged emails with my company address. This is fabricated, I told Jennifer over the phone, hands shaking. All of it. I never sent those texts. I've never been to his apartment. I know, but we have 4 hours to prove it. The restraining order hearing was at 11 a.m. If approved, I couldn't be within 100 yards of Kyle. And the mediation was scheduled at my father's lawyer's office, same building where Kyle allegedly worked as a consultant. If the restraining order went through, I couldn't attend my own mediation. Case proceeds without me. Potential default judgment. They were trying to remove me from the fight entirely. Pull everything, Jennifer said over the phone. Security footage from your office, phone records, credit card statements, every alibi for every date they claim you were stalking him. I spent the next 3 hours building my defense. Every night, Kyle claimed I was at his apartment. I was provably elsewhere. Security badges, restaurant receipts with timestamps, gym check-ins tracked by my membership card. The text messages he claimed I sent, metadata analysis showed they originated from an IP address traced to my father's home office. The Ring doorbell footage? I found the actress. Fiverr posting from 3 weeks ago. Need someone for brief video shoot. Must be female, 5'6" to 5'8", dark hair. Payment processed on a credit card belonging to Samantha Simmons. My mother had hired an actress to frame me. We can expose this, Jennifer said over the phone. Show the judge it's complete fabrication. Win the hearing. But then they know what we have, I said. They know we can do forensic analysis, trace IP addresses, find their hired help. They'll destroy everything else. Jennifer paused. You want to let it proceed? I want to show just enough to win today, but not enough to tip our hand for mediation. That's risky. So is showing them everything we've got and giving them time to cover their tracks. We went with option 3, conditional exposure. In the courtroom, I presented one night's alibi, security footage showing me at the office during the time I was supposedly at Kyle's apartment. One piece of evidence, clean, simple. The judge reviewed it, looked at Kyle's lawyer. Your client claims Miss Simmons was at his residence at 9 p.m. on this date. That's correct, Your Honor. But this security footage shows her at her office 20 miles away at that same time. Silence. Motion denied. The judge's voice was sharp. And counsel, if I see another restraining order application with this little supporting evidence, we'll be discussing Rule 11 sanctions. Kyle left the courthouse pale, looking at me like he'd seen something he didn't expect. They knew I had evidence, but they didn't know how much. That night, alone in my office, I looked at the framed photo on my desk. Me at 26, first med tech prototype, exhausted smile, everything ahead of me. 8 years. It all came down to tomorrow. I texted Kate. Thank you for trusting me with Claire's story. We're going to win this for her. Her response came immediately. Claire would have liked you. She'd want you to burn it all down. Jennifer's final advice rang in my head. Let the evidence speak. You just have to stay standing. I could do that. I'd been standing my whole life.
The mediator's office was on the 17th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows showing Boston spread out below, gray sky, threatening rain. Large conference table, mediator at the head, older woman, neutral expression, recording device in front of her. Jennifer and I on one side, Dad, Kyle, and 2 lawyers across from us. Mom arrived 10 minutes late, perfectly styled, navy dress, sat behind Dad like a supporting actor. We're here to find resolution regarding MedTech Solutions' ownership dispute, the mediator began. Dad cut her off. Let's skip formalities. We have a final offer. He slid a folder across the table. Inside, revised transfer agreement, worse than before. Lillian gets 25% equity, salaried CTO role, no board seat, 2-year non-compete if I leave, NDA covering all family business matters. Lillian, Dad's voice was reasonable, almost kind. We're family. This litigation hurts everyone. Take the offer, keep your job, maintain relationships, or lose everything in court. Kyle nodded. I'm willing to be generous with the equity split. You could still consult, make money from the company you started. That I started, not we, I. Dad's lead lawyer leaned forward. Miss Simmons, your continued refusal to negotiate in good faith could be viewed as breach of fiduciary duty to other shareholders. What other shareholders? Jennifer cut in. Lillian owns 100% of the company. For now, Dad said, but we have documentation of misappropriation, self-dealing. You mean the fabricated evidence? My voice came out cold, calm. Not what they expected. I pulled out my own folder, much thicker than theirs. Before we discuss your settlement offer, I have something to share. I opened to page 1, printed text messages. Kyle to Dad. She's not signing. What now? Dad to Kyle. Phase 2. Make her desperate. Dated 3 days before the lawsuit was filed. Kyle's face drained of color. Actually went white. Where did you get those? Dad's voice was sharp. Discovery, which you initiated. These are Kyle's cloud backup. Jennifer added, which we legally accessed through subpoena after you sued our client. I turned to page 3. Security footage stills. Kyle, in my office, 11:47 p.m., 3 weeks before the lawsuit, using his phone to photograph my computer screen. Financial projections clearly visible.
Dad's lawyer started taking notes frantically, whispered, "This is corporate espionage." Dad silenced him with a hand gesture. Page 7, IP address logs. Kyle's anonymous SEC complaint, filed from your home office, Dad. Page 11, Mom's credit card receipt, hiring an actress to fake Ring doorbell footage for the fraudulent restraining order. Mom gasped. Actually gasped. Dean, you said that was... Not now, Samantha. The mediator's expression changed. Mr. Simmons, is this documentation accurate? It's taken out of context. There's no context where photographing proprietary documents and filing false police reports is legal. The door opened. Kate Carter walked in, carrying her accordion file. My father's face went white, genuinely white. "Hello, Dean. You have no standing in this mediation," Dad's lawyer started. "Miss Carter is here as expert witness regarding pattern and practice evidence." Jennifer sat next to me, opened her file. Methodical, calm. "I worked with Dean Simmons from 1996 to 1999 at Venture Capital Partners. In 1998, my sister, Claire Carter, founded a financial software company. Dean convinced her to bring him on as advisor." She laid out the timeline. I'd seen it before, but watching her present it, watching my father's face, was different. Friendly mentorship, business advice, suggested partner, manufactured crisis, forced buyout. Claire sold her company for $200,000. It was worth $4 million. She never recovered. She died in 2015. Kate pulled out more files. Marcus Webb, 2003, robotics startup. Same pattern, same lawyers. She gestured to Dad's attorneys. Same playbook. Jennifer Ling, 2009, biotech, identical tactics. Then she opened the last file. James Simmons, 2012. I sat up straighter. Wait, James Simmons? Your uncle, Kate confirmed. Dean's younger brother. My mind raced. Uncle James. Always quiet at family gatherings. Never talked about work. The family joke was that he never had Dean's business sense. James had a medical equipment distribution company, worth $3 million. Dean took it, systematically. Same pattern, same lawyers. She gestured to Dad's attorneys. Same playbook. James works as a sales rep now at a company Dean owns, makes $45,000 a year. Kyle stood up. I didn't know about any of this. Kate turned to him. You're the weapon he's using this time. Just like he used his nephew with Claire, his former partner's son with Marcus. Kyle looked at Dad. You said this was helping family. You said Lillian was being selfish. Sit down, Kyle. You said I deserved... I said sit down. Dad's lawyers were exchanging looks. One whispered urgently, Dean, if this pattern is provable, we're looking at potential RICO implications. Then stop her from proving it, Dad hissed. Mom stood, voice shaking. You did this to your own brother? Samantha, not now. James used to call me, for years after 2012, asking if I knew why you cut him off. I thought... Her voice cracked. I thought James had done something wrong. He took a business opportunity I needed, Dad said flatly. It was his company. It was wasted potential, like Lillian's is wasted on her. I saw my mother clearly for the first time. She hadn't orchestrated this. She'd been complicit through willful ignorance. But she wasn't the architect. Small distinction, but real. Dad stood, straightened his tie. You want to play with evidence? Fine. His lawyer opened his briefcase, pulled out a thick folder. Elder abuse complaint, filed this morning with Massachusetts Adult Protective Services. He slid it to the mediator. The accusation was brutal. Claims I financially exploited my parents over 6 years, that the $215,000 were loans they gave me, that I pressured them into investments while they were mentally compromised, Mom's cancer treatment, Dad's stress-related cognitive decline, medical documentation attached, real documentation, Mom's cancer records, Dad's anxiety prescriptions, timeline twisted to make it look like I took money from sick parents. We have witness statements, Dad's lawyer said. Aunt Martha, Uncle George, Cousin Jennifer, all stating they witnessed Lillian pressuring her parents for money, all concerned about her financial control over elderly parents. The trap was elegant. If I fought this, I'd have to prove I gave money, not took. But I had no receipts. Dad had told me family doesn't keep receipts. Bank transfers showed money moving, but not direction or reason. The mediator looked concerned. Miss Simmons, these are serious allegations. Even Jennifer looked worried. Lillian, do you have documentation of the direction of these payments? Dad smiled slightly. Sometimes children take advantage of parents who just want to help. It's sad, really. Kyle wouldn't look at me. Mom was crying silently. Hospital contracts would care about this. Investors would distance themselves. Founded company with money exploited from sick parents was a headline that destroyed everything. Sign the transfer agreement now. We drop everything. Lawsuit, SEC complaint, elder abuse charge. You keep 25%, your title, your reputation, or we proceed. And even if you win legally, you lose everything else.
The door opened again. A man in his 50s walked in, slightly stooped, off-the-rack suit, carrying a laptop. Dad's face shifted from triumph to horror. "Hello, Dean." "Uncle James." "I'm James Simmons, Dean's brother. I'm here to provide testimony about the payment records." He opened his laptop connected to the conference room display. "Lillian hired me 6 years ago, after Dean took my company. I was broke, needed work. She gave me a job." A spreadsheet filled the screen. Part of that job was maintaining complete financial records, every payment, every transfer, every loan. He scrolled down, every transaction documented. $50,000 to Dad, bridge loan to father, personal funds. $80,000 for Mom's treatment, medical expenses, mother, gift. $25,000 to Kyle, business investment, Kyle startup, gift. $40,000 house renovation, home improvement gift to parents. Every transfer includes date, amount, bank records, purpose, and signed acknowledgement. He clicked through. Scanned documents appeared. Dad's signature, received $50,000 from Lillian Simmons for business bridge loan. Mom's signature, received $80,000 from Lillian Simmons for medical treatment. All documented, all signed, all provable. "I told Lillian to do this after what Dean did to me," James said quietly. "I said, with family, always keep receipts." He looked at Dad. "You taught me to trust you. Cost me everything. I made sure Lillian wouldn't make the same mistake." The mediator's voice was sharp. "Mr. Simmons, these documents show payments from Lillian to your parents, not the reverse." Dad's lawyer went pale. "Dean, you said—" "James is lying. He's bitter about a business deal." "I have 10 years of tax returns," James interrupted. "Mine show the income collapse after 2012. Lillian's show the payments to family from 2017 to 2023. The IRS has copies." Kyle stood. "Dad, you said Uncle James stole from you." "I never stole anything, Kyle." James's voice was steady. "Your father wanted my company. I wouldn't sell, so he manufactured a crisis, turned the board against me, forced me out." Kyle looked at Dad. "You're doing the same thing to Lillian. Kyle, sit down." "No." Kyle's voice broke. "I'm done." Mom stood. "I want a divorce." Dead silence. "Dean, I defended you. I helped you. I called Lillian's employees." Tears streaming. "You let me believe James betrayed us. You let me believe Lillian was selfish. You used me to hurt our own daughter." "Samantha, you're being emotional." "I want a divorce, and I'm testifying for Lillian." Dad's senior lawyer closed his briefcase. "Mr. Simmons, we're withdrawing as counsel effective immediately." "You can't. We lied to us about material facts, made us party to fraud. We're ethically required to withdraw." Both lawyers stood, walked out. Dad sat alone with Kyle. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "Board meeting concluded. Emergency vote. Formal complaint against Dean Simmons for investor interference filed with state regulators. He's blacklisted." Jennifer slid papers across the table. "Criminal complaint for assault,
extortion, corporate espionage, and filing false police reports. Filed 1 hour ago. Restraining order hearing tomorrow. Civil suit for $2.5 million in damages plus legal fees. Dad stared at the documents, face draining of color. Company gone, wife leaving, son turned against him, criminal charges, no lawyers. I stood, gathered my documents. You taught me that family doesn't keep receipts. Uncle James taught me something better. With predators, always keep evidence. I'm keeping 100% of my company. You're getting nothing, and everyone will know what you are. I walked out. Behind me, the mediator's voice. Mr. Simmons, do you wish to continue this mediation? Silence. Mr. Simmons? I didn't wait to hear his answer.
3 months after the mediation, the verdicts came through. Criminal trial, Dad convicted on 3 counts. Assault during attempted extortion, filing false police reports, witness tampering. 18 months supervised probation, 200 hours community service, $50,000 fine, permanent restraining order preventing contact with me. The venture capital firm moved faster than the courts. Partners voted him out within 2 weeks of the mediation. His name came off the building. 23 years erased like he'd never been there. Forbes ran the story. The VC who preyed on family. How Dean Simmons built a career on systematic betrayal. It went viral. 5 million views in 3 days. State Bar opened an investigation into the lawyers who'd helped him. Securities regulators started looking into his firm's practices. The country club revoked his membership. Charity boards removed him from letterhead. James got his settlement, $1.2 million for what Dad took in 2012. Dad's legal fees hit $300,000. His reputation was ash. Kyle's engagement ended a week after the mediation. Amanda's family released a statement. We have no association with this situation. He moved into a studio in Alston, got a job at the Apple store in Cambridge. 40 hours a week, retail wages. But he started therapy, twice a week, actually showing up. Applied to community college, business degree, got accepted for spring semester. He sent me one text, 3 months later. I'm sorry, I don't expect forgiveness, but I am trying to be better. I read it 3 times, saved it, didn't respond, didn't delete either. Mom's divorce finalized in 6 weeks. Dad didn't contest it, wanted it over fast. She moved to a smaller condo in Cambridge, reconnected with old law school friends, started talking about returning to practice. We meet for coffee every 6 weeks. Conversations are careful, stiff, but we show up. I should have seen it, she said one morning, stirring sugar into black coffee. I should have protected you from him. I said, you should have. Long pause. But you're here now. Uncle James used his settlement to start a consulting practice. Small, 3 employees, growing steadily. He sends me quarterly emails with updates, revenue projections, client wins, the kind of thing you share with family when family actually means something. His Christmas card this year had a photo, him with his daughter and grandkids. Message inside, thank you for giving me my life back. He wrote a memoir, small press, Predatory Capital, How Corporate Family Abuse Destroys from Within. Started doing speaking engagements at business schools, Wharton, Harvard, Stanford, teaching students how to protect themselves in family business. I wrote the foreword. The company survived. Thrived, actually. 3 hospitals that paused contracts during the lawsuit drama renewed everything. 2 expanded their orders. Competitors tried to poach clients during the scandal. Every single one stayed loyal. Harvard Business School made it a case study. The founder who fought back, protecting company equity from family predation. New investors reached out specifically because I'd proven I'd protect the company, valued at $12 million now, up from $8 million before all this started. I launched the second product line, remote patient monitoring, already generating revenue. Forbes 30 under 40 list came out. I made it. Technically 34, but they bent the rules. Christmas was different this year, smaller. Aunt Martha and Uncle George, the ones who gave statements for Dad, weren't invited.
The cousins who'd testified about my concerning behavior stayed home. Just Mom, Uncle James, Kayla, and me. 4 people around a table that used to seat 20. Different, quieter, but real.
I saw Amanda at Whole Foods 3 months after everything ended, Kyle's ex-fiancé. She was in produce, looking at avocados like they held answers. She saw me, froze, then walked over. I want you to know I didn't know what he was doing to you. But you knew Kyle didn't really have a company, I said. You knew he was waiting for his father to give him one. Small nod. I thought it was just family support, not theft. We didn't exchange numbers. She left with her avocados. I watched her go. Another casualty. Complicit, yes, but also used. Dad's business partner Thomas sent an email 2 months later. I lost everything when the firm collapsed. 20 years of work, reputation tied to deans. I never knew what he was doing to families. I should have asked more questions. I'm sorry you had to be the one to stop him. I didn't respond. Felt guilty about that. Then remembered. Thomas signed off on Dad's investment strategies for years. He probably didn't know specifics, but he profited from the pattern. Complexity I'm still working through. Mom forwarded me something from Kyle 6 weeks ago. Kyle asked if you'd help with his therapy costs. He's going twice a week, $200 per session, can't afford it on his salary. I stared at that message for 15 minutes, then wrote a check for $5,000 directly to his therapist's office. Note attached. This is not forgiveness. This is me hoping you become someone worth knowing. Never told Mom I sent it. Kyle never acknowledged it, but the sessions continued. Late one night, scrolling Instagram, I saw a photo from cousin Jennifer's wedding. Kyle was there. Back row, sitting alone, looking thin. Caption didn't mention him. Comments didn't either. He'd become a ghost. Present, but erased. I destroyed Dad, but Kyle's life became collateral damage. Necessary? Yes. Fair? Yes. Easy to live with? No. I moved to a real apartment. 2 bedrooms, windows that get morning light. Adopted a rescue dog, Porter. Lab mix. Keeps me company during late work nights. Started taking a painting class. I'm terrible. Keep going anyway. Sarah, Dr. Reed from the hospital, and I went for coffee after a contract meeting. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became her staying over. Not serious yet, but present, real. I leave the office by 7 p.m. now. Used to stay until midnight. Take weekends off. Revolutionary concept. Therapy every Thursday at 4 p.m. Standing appointment. I'm learning that being right doesn't mean you're okay, I told my therapist last week. She nodded. That's the work. Built a life that's mine. Not proving anything to anyone, just existing. 14 months after the mediation, I was at the hospital presenting new equipment to their board. Elevator doors opened. I stepped out. Kyle stepped in. We both froze. He was wearing scrubs, hospital janitor uniform. Lillian. Kyle. I work here now. Night shift. Started 3 months ago. I nodded. Didn't know what to say. Therapy's helping. I'm working on things. Good. The elevator door started closing. I held it open. Are you... He stopped. Never mind. What? Are you happy? His eyes were genuine. No manipulation. Just a question. I considered. I'm getting there. He nodded. That's good. You deserve that. The elevator door closed. I stood in the hallway, heart pounding. He didn't ask for anything, didn't apologize again, just existed near me for 30 seconds. I don't know if we'll ever be siblings again, but maybe someday we'll be 2 people who survived the same war. I took the stairs down, didn't look back. Some nights I wonder if I should have just walked away, sold the company, started fresh somewhere else, let them have it. Would have been easier, less painful, no collateral damage. But then I remember, walking away teaches predators they can win. Standing up, even when it costs everything, teaches them they can't. I'm still figuring out if it was worth it. Ask me tomorrow, the answer might be different. But today,
Today, I own my own company. I sleep in my own bed. I don't owe anyone anything. That has to count for something.
I built something they couldn't take, but the price was a family I can never get back. Some days, that feels like victory. Other days, it just feels like loss. I don't know which one it really is. Maybe it's both. And if you've watched this far, you've spent nearly an hour inside my life, watching it get dismantled and then rebuilt. Thank you. Now, I need your perspective. If you were in that mediation room, one of the people witnessing everything unfold, what would you have done? Be honest. Really honest. Would you have stayed and watched, saying nothing because it wasn't your business? Walked out because it was too uncomfortable? Spoken up for me, even though it meant going against a powerful man? Or sided with my father because families should get second chances? There's no right answer here. We all like to think we'd be brave, but most people just want to avoid conflict. So tell me in the comments, which version of yourself shows up in that room? The one who watches? The one who leaves? Or the one who speaks up? And here's the follow-up most people won't admit. If you stayed silent, if you walked out, does that make you complicit? Or just human? Comment below. I'm genuinely curious where you'd fall. Let's talk tactics. Looking back at everything that happened, what should I have done differently? Here are your options. Vote in the comments. Option A, cut them off quietly the moment they asked for the company. No confrontation, no revenge, just silent exit. Change my number, move cities, never speak to them again. Option B, handled it all privately. Mediation behind closed doors. No public exposure, keep the family dysfunction away from the business reputation. Option C, gone even further than I did. Not just criminal charges, pursue civil damages for every dollar they ever took. Make the punishment so severe they never recover. Option D, something else entirely. You tell me, because here's what keeps me up at night. Was the public destruction necessary? Or did I let my anger push me past justice into vengeance? My lawyer says there's a difference between protecting yourself and punishing others. But when someone's attacking you, that line gets real blurry, real fast. So tell me, where's the line? And did I cross it? Here's the question that actually matters. At what point does self-defense become revenge? When does protecting yourself turn into destroying someone else? My father lost his career, his marriage, his reputation. My brother lost his engagement, his future, his family's respect. I didn't hit anyone, didn't lie, didn't fabricate evidence. I just told the truth, showed what they'd done, let the consequences follow. But those consequences were nuclear. Lives destroyed, relationships shattered, a family that will never exist again. So here's what I need you to think about. If someone's trying to destroy you and you have the power to destroy them first, is that justice or is that just who gets there first? Because I won. My company's thriving. I'm financially secure. I'm safe from them. But I also detonated a family, hurt people who were collateral damage, created pain that ripples out beyond the people who actually attacked me. Was it worth it? Was it right? Would you have done the same? Comment honestly. Not what sounds good. What you'd actually do if it was your life, your family, your company on the line. One more question. This one's personal. Have you ever been the person funding your own exclusion? Giving money to people who don't respect you? Supporting people who don't acknowledge you? Loving people who only call when they need something? If you have, when did you finally stop? What was your breaking point? Was it one huge betrayal or 1,000 small cuts that finally added up? And here's the hard part. Do you regret stopping? Or do you regret not stopping sooner? I gave my family over $200,000 in 6 years. Every dollar felt like an investment in belonging, in being seen, in earning a love I thought I had to pay for. The day I stopped wasn't the day they demanded my company. It was the day my father's hand hit my face. That's when I realized I'd been paying to be hurt. When was your moment? Tell me in the comments.
If this story resonated, if you've ever had to choose between family and self-preservation, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories about family betrayal, setting boundaries, and the actual cost of standing up for yourself when the people hurting you are the ones who raised you. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's still trying to earn love from people who see them as a resource, not a person. And remember, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to be used, even when it costs everything, even when you're still not sure if you made the right choice, even when the person you're protecting yourself from is someone you desperately wish you didn't have to protect yourself from.